Hi, this is Jason Gia with the Gia Team.
Hi, I'm Heidi Mansco.
Well, these are things you want to do over and above just a normal inspection, right? So first things,
Yeah.
Heidi's going
First
to talk.
thing is we want to talk about is the chimney. If the house has a fireplace in it, the inspector will just look in the chimney to make sure, and he could tell you if like the flap is sealed or not. And he can tell you if it looks dirty, but you really should get those cleaned, especially if it's a wood burning. Really get it checked out. Have a chimney guy come out and take a look at it, making sure all this it's sealed properly, making sure it's clean in there, because that's something that you really don't want to mess with down the line.
Yeah, and the average cost for something like that, they're on sale maybe under $100, usually no more than 150. So it's pretty minuscule. Again, a lot of things what you're looking for is the soot and the blockage from creosote. Again, if you burn a lot of fire, I think it's like a cord of wood, but usually every 1 to 2 years you should be doing this. Most homeowners don't do it, and the fireplaces aren't cheap. And so there's a couple things out there you might want to check on Google as to what people agree with, what they don't agree with. But again, it's the homeowner's responsibility, and as the buyer, we've seen it where if you don't do it and you buy the house, you're kind of left with the issues that come in hand. So we've talked about the next thing, sewer scope. That's just sending the video down the sewer line. You can, it sounds gross, but go through the toilet, or they would remove the toilet, or the best way to do it is through like in the basement. Typically, you have a sewer line. You can kind of open up,
Clean out
straight through. Problem is, if they finish the basement, they cover up the sewer line, which you shouldn't do, but some people do. Or if you just don't have access to one, this one is a little bit more expensive. It ranges from 200 on the low end, right? If they have like,
yeah.
yeah,
If they have a clean out, it's probably like around 200. But
yeah.
if you don't have a clean out and they have to go through the toilet, it's 500 to 600.
Good thing is for the homeowner, you get a new toilet seal or like a ring, whatever, and then you get a professional installing the toilet, which 9 times out of 10 doesn't happen. But either way, it's expensive for the buyer. But you're really looking for any flaws in that sewer line. So tree roots is pretty common. Bushes, if they're kind of a big bush or whatever. But plants kind of, especially if it's an older home, you have clay tiles, so plants kind of mess up the tile, the sewer system. And again, still the homeowner's responsibility to fix if they own it. Unfortunately, a lot of homeowners don't do this unless they see a problem with the toilet or the gray matter leaving. There's a lot of backup. And then some do. Some are really good. We've had sellers recently that every 2 years they just kind of got their sewer line rotted. So it's usually because there's a and so they're kind of aware of it. But most people, unfortunately,
The thing is too is if that pipe underground is cracked or anything, then that's a major problem.
Yeah.
You're talking like $8,000 to $10,000 to get that fixed. So that's something you want to know on the front end.
And again, we're not trying to hold the sellers accountable forever. I mean, maybe there's compromises. Obviously, it depends on how they price the house. There's always wiggle room, but the reality is that's a huge upfront cost. We've seen as high as 10. Usually, they're not that high, 3,000 to 5,000. But again, it depends on how far that line runs from the house to the street, and sometimes it goes under the street, and that can get very expensive. Again, that's not typical. It's extremely rare, but that you're ripping up the street. That's big bucks. So, and better to do your homework.
Thing is the HVAC, which is the furnace and the central air unit. Your inspector will gloss over it and look at it, making sure it's clean, making sure there's no major cracks or condensation. If he does find that, then it would be the buyer's best interest to get a certified HVAC person out there to take a closer look at it.
So the last one is a radon test. This is pretty well common. I wasn't even going to include this, but that's that's around $200, 190 sometimes. And again, it's just testing for higher than normal radon levels. Radon's everywhere. I think it's 3 below. There's a chance that it can be in your air. If it's not here today, it could be there tomorrow, yada, yada. So it's just in your best interest if you're purchasing the house, just get it checked. Then as a seller, your main concern kind of issue would be the system. And that would be anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800. It depends on how big the house is, crawl space, whatever. But again, it's a pretty easy test. It takes anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. The seller just has to keep things tight, as far as the doors closed. I think they have 90 seconds to keep it open, which is kind of a long time if you think about it. Keep the flue closed. Make sure the air is running, so it keeps things moving around. It's not stagnant. So either way, that's a simple thing. And for any homeowner out there, if you do have radon and you did test for it and you have a mitigation system, you should test, and nobody does this, you should test every 4 years just to make sure your radon mitigation system is working properly. So they have test kits that you can put in your house. They're pretty easy. Obviously, they're not as skilled and accurate as the digital readout ones, but I think the biggest issue there for a seller is, do you have it? Do you not have it? But remember, you're disclosing everything you do. So
yeah.
So
and with radon, your neighbor can have high levels of radon and you don't have anything. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. So you've got to really test it.
Yeah, no, I agree. So 4 things we recommend people doing if it's needed. If the chimney is a little dirty, maybe get that cleaned. We always recommend getting the sewer scope because there's really no way to tell. I mean, it's got to be really bad if the flow going out of the house and the plumbing is that stagnant. And then checking your furnace. Again, that's if it's really dirty, really old, a lot of pets, a lot of cats, a lot of dogs, that kind of stuff. And then a radon test we always recommend. So 2 of the 4 things most people are doing, or they should be doing. The other 2 things you really only do if it's extenuated circumstances. But again, it's really just to protect what you're doing and then be reasonable. Like if it is a 40-year-old furnace, you get it cleaned and it works, that's it. I mean, that's at least now you know what you're stepping into. That doesn't mean you could be like, well, now I want a new furnace.
Some of them last a long time.
Yeah, some do. So, all right. Well, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please contact us at thegiateam.com. That's it for us. Stay safe and stay healthy.
All right, thanks. Bye.